Let me start with something from you that I really appreciated in your presser, Terry, the other day, because I think we're all so sort of, just locked into coach speak and GM speak. I loved your sincerity and your emotion when thanking Mickey Loomis and the Saints. And this comes from a diehard Falcon fan. I don't want to thank the Saints for anything, but I loved that moment. Talk more about what they meant to you and how a 22-year-old kid who started there has gotten to this point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that was I'm not a person that I would say I'm not an overly emotional person, so that was kind of weird for me even to happen that way. And I really think it was where I never look at accomplishments. I'm more about focusing on the process and looking at everything as opportunity. So whether I started off in marketing and became a pro scout and became a pro director and became a VP and became an assistant GM, and I never took a moment to really look at what it was. I just was looking at the process and focusing on the next step and what I need to do to be effective in that role, as opposed to appreciating the role. So it's as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about that moment because I remember the moment like it was yesterday when I was in his office, and when he told me that, he said, look, if you keep your head down and work, then you're going to continue to grow, and I'm going to help you in every way I can. And it was true. He really did, and everybody in the building did. And so kind of in that moment, I was really just, taking in everything he did for me, everything that building, that organization did for me, and kind of just acknowledging the fact that it was, 18 years, that's a long time, So I think it's all about having a one building mentality. When you have a one building mentality and everybody top to bottom, their jobs are important and it's inclusive and everybody's close, whether you work in football or marketing or ticket sales or whatever you work, your job is extremely important, whatever you do, and you're going to be close. And I think when you have that type of one building mentality, then once you get your foot in the door, wherever you are, you can end up in any other department.
Terry, Keith Brooking, who obviously he grew up about 20 minutes south of Atlanta, played at Georgia Tech, first 10 or 11 years with the Falcons. And he said when he left and went to Dallas, he said, yeah, it was weird. I didn't have a dry cleaners or a grocery store. He's like, I got to get all that stuff. But he said as far as going to he said, I had a 30-year resume as a Falcons fan. As well as a player. You've got Louisiana and New Orleans and the Saints in your blood. But I suppose in a professional sense, like Keith, he was like, that wasn't weird at all. It was just time to go to work.
Yeah. It's funny about it. I was just doing a facility tour, and somebody had a Keith Brooking bobblehead on their desk. And I thought it was so cool. And then when I turned around, he had blood on his nose. And I'm like, yep, that's Keith Brooking. But look, it is. That's really how I feel. Like I haven't even. I feel like the last game, the last playoff game for the Saints was. I feel like that was decades ago. And in my mind, I'm ready to roll. There's so much that you're ready to start. You're ready to assist Arthur Smith and getting his coaching staff in and doing everything I can to help him. I'm ready to really meet the scouts and get close with the guys and start going through the process. And I'm just really ready to get going. So yeah, you don't even think about the fact that it's a team that was a rival team for the Saints for so long. It's just about you're excited about the opportunity, excited about the people in this building, the people in this city, and you're just ready to get going so you can give them the best.
Terry Fontenot, Falcons general manager with Chuck and Chernoff on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. You're the perfect guy I'm going to ask this question to. Why do you think the Saints, who have won 6 of 7 recently against the Falcons, 21 of 30 since Sean Payton took over, why have they had that level of dominance head-to-head, and why have they been so much more consistent than the Falcons?
Well, it's not one thing. It's everything, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. So there has to be a focus on the process in every area of the building. And that's not just football. It's not just about football. It's about everything that surrounds it. It's about the entire organization. There has to be everything we do has to be focused on winning and doing that. But it's about the details of every single process, doing things the right way, A to Z. And there has to be a focus on that. And there has to be a focus on getting the right people in the building and always having the right people in the building. And I know there's a good culture here, so I'm not poking at the Atlanta Falcons culture, because I know there's a good culture, but you always have to make sure that that you're continuing to do everything you do to maintain that culture and to build on it. So everyone you bring in the building, you have to focus on the makeup, focus on the character, get the right types of people in the building, in the locker room, and make sure, again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So A to Z, we have to focus on the details.
Who are you taking it for?
You know what's funny? The way you asked it, I was about to say a name because you asked it so quick and it was smooth.
Exactly.
And
exactly. Like act
no
like you're supposed to be
build-up.
somewhere, you know?
That's a talent. That right there. I'm serious. You can get people to say stuff because you asked it so quick and so smooth that I was about to start talking.
That would have been wonderful. Oh, that would have been good for us.
Go ahead, pick it up there.
Yeah, if you want to give us initials, you don't have to give a full name.
I think what's behind the question, obviously, is we got a quarterback who is, probably running out of the woods versus running into the woods career-wise, and he's really expensive, and we got the 4th overall pick, and there's a bunch of good quarterbacks there. Those are the dots that we all connect. Tell me if there is a bigger picture at the NFL level where it starts and ends with the quarterback. Tell me if it might be that simple.
Well, I think I would even take Matt out of it, take the quarterback out of it, and take everything out of it, and just look at the draft and look at what you're doing, and look, you have to go through that process and go through the details of the makeup of the players, of the skill sets of the players, and get the best players you can, and you can't be afraid to build a strength. I don't care what position it is. You can't be afraid to build a strength. That's important. You look at Ron Wolf and how you look at. Hey, you have to continue to bring good players in, and we're going to be a culture of competition. So there's always going to be a competition at every position, top to bottom of the roster, and we're going to bring good players in the building. So I think if you just not even talking about an individual player or a specific position, you have to build strengths and you have to get good players in the building.
Boy, you are in the GM talking. You have got the talk down. That was very much better than the almost tripping over the name. That was good. Terry Fontenot, Falcon GM, with us. So at your press conference, you said Arthur Smith was special. Why is he special?
I think it starts with the man. I think it starts with who he is as a person. He's a good person, and I think it always has to start with that. Like, you have to have good people and a good leader of man. So he is that. He's a good person. He's a good leader of man. He's an excellent communicator. Whether we're talking about with the staff, whether we're talking about with the players, he's a relationship builder. And look, he has a standard, and he's shown what he can do as a play caller, as a coordinator, and even before he's a coordinator, all throughout his career, everyone could see. No one was surprised when he was successful as a coordinator, because you could see how intelligent he was, how adaptive he was, because it's not just about a scheme; it's about being able to adjust and do different things. So look, and the good thing is going to be a partnership, and we're going to work together. But I would say what makes him so special is it starts with who he is as a man. He's a leader of man, and he has the right. He knows what the ingredients are to have success, and he knows the process in order to get those.
All right, your salary cap issue, is it a huge hurdle to overcome or a small speed bump?
Well, I think it's look, you look at every team around the league, and different teams have different issues. Some teams have salary cap issues and have some good players on the roster with bigger contracts, and some teams might not have as many salary cap issues. And it's just, but every team right now is looking at a challenge. And yes, we have a challenge here. We understand it, and so we have to make good decisions and make sure we're making decisions for sustained success. I definitely acknowledge it and definitely understand it, but we're going to have challenges going into every offseason, and this is just one of those, and we just have to go through the process and make the right decisions, and definitely think, look, we want to do everything we can do now right, but we also need to think big picture and make sure we're building for sustained success.
Couple of quick things. Terry Fontenot, Falcon GM, with Chuck and Chernoff on the Fan. The New Orleans defense, Chuck and I went over numbers over the last several years. There have been a lot of hits in the draft. There have been a lot of ads in free agency. And the culture defensively is the most important thing to me, is getting to the quarterback. And the Saints' last 3 years, I think it was 45, 49, and 51 sacks. Terry, I don't have to tell you this, even from afar. I'm sure you saw it. The Falcons haven't been able to get to a quarterback consistently in a very long time. And I know that's your job to solve it. From the outside looking in, why do you think they never could solve that problem?
Well, look, that's a good question, and I just know this. I think it's a complementary game, and it's not just, you can't just focus on say the defensive line and say, okay, it's if you're not getting sacks, it's the defensive line, because it's a complementary game. So the coverage on the back end is critical. Look, the way the game is going, the flow of the game, your offense, are you in tight games? Are you losing by a lot? So there's so many factors when you look at that. So and that's why when we talk about it, it's not just about, hey, let's add more defensive linemen or add more pressure players. It's every stage. It's the coverage. It's the offensive side of the ball. So I think there are a lot of areas we need to improve in, and we need to supplement the roster in a number of areas. But it's about adding good players at every position, and that will come.
One random last thing for you, Terry, and this was just a discussion Chuck and I had yesterday as we saw some of the coordinator news roll in and some of the other coaches. You guys hired Charles London, which Arthur Smith, I'm sure, has total control over the staff. But he is a running back coach for his whole career, and he moves over to the quarterback coach. Tell me about the dynamic of that.
Yeah, and obviously you'd have to ask Arthur about the specifics in terms of the details of that. But I know this. It's about getting good leader of men and good coaches that know ball. And look, we've done that a lot. Like, we've even had situations where I've seen situations where a coach moves to another side of the ball, and he may end up coaching a different side. But you got to think about it. These coaches, they're watching a lot of. You have an offensive coach; he's watching a lot of defensive film constantly, and vice versa. And same thing. If you've been coaching running backs or receivers, you're obviously doing a lot of work with the quarterback. So. I think that's one of those ways that Arthur is unique and smart. He's not going to live in a box and say, okay, if I'm going to hire a quarterback coach, I have to get somebody that's been working with quarterbacks, or vice versa. He's going to bring in the best people, and he's going to have a mindset and a plan for everything, and he's not going to be stuck in a box. But yeah, so it may seem unique outside looking in, but man, get good football coaches that are good teachers, good motivators. They're going to build relationships and get the best of the players.
All right, Terry, last thing. Matt and I were on more of a personal level with most of the execs. Alex Anthopoulos, Braves GM, he's A-trained to us. So we need your nickname. And even if it's embarrassing, we're friends here. So what are we going to call you?
That's a good look. I got to think about that a little bit.
You played ball. You never had a nickname? Come on.
You had to be Font or something, right? You were Font.
You had something you didn't like growing up? What was it? Come on.
We're on live radio. How about you guys call me after the show?
All right.
Deal. It's a fair enough way to do it. Hey, welcome to town again. Congratulations, and we hope everything goes great for you. We'd love to catch up with you again down the road. Terry, thank you.
I really appreciate you guys, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
Sounds great. There's Terry Fontenot, Falcons general manager, and as I told you, when you turn that GM coach speak thing on, you do it well.
Yeah.
We'll try to get him out of that. We'll work on him as we move forward.
He's going to tell us Zach Wilson.
He almost tripped up 4 months before the draft.